So I always tell people, please come back and tell me what you think of it. Did it help you? Is there something off about it? Or, and that's been a big help in being able to, grow the brand itself, knowing what people like and don't like.
What's going on, everyone? I'm pleased to introduce Emma Albers to this episode. She has a dispensary called Montana Dispensary located in Great Falls, Montana. Opened up in 2016 and has now built out a 6,000 square foot location with a cool little window so that you can see inside. We talk about a lot of things such as the importance of educating your customer, building out a good team, also the importance of having a good quality product at an affordable price to be able to give it to the customers that they need. We also chat about why she needed to lug gallon jugs from her cistern all the way back to the greenhouse when they first started. Truly a labor of love, and you're not going to want to miss it. I'll see you in there. Emma, welcome to the Dispensary Marketing Podcast. Thanks for hopping on the show.
Yes, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell me, what are your keys to running a successful dispensary?
Definitely having, a good workforce that is knowledgeable in the industry. We get a lot of customers coming in wondering, what's this? What's a hybrid? What's a sativa? What's live rosin? So it's nice to be able to really dive in and just give them all the information that they're asking for and feel good about it and knowing that they're getting the proper information and what they're searching for. We also are pretty excited. We've always been vertically integrated. So when Montana first came to be just medical, that's what you had to do. So we've always done it from the beginning. We strive to keep doing that. We have the ability to just have our fingers in and know everything that's going on from seed to cloning, to harvesting, to processing, to the final product. So even the employees are immersed in this as well. So they still have that great knowledge of every strain we carry, products, how it's going to help you. So I think that is a huge benefit in the company.
Right. So yeah, if there's one thing that I've learned interviewing, a bunch of you guys, education plays a massive piece into this space, right? And similarly to what we spoke about a little bit earlier in one of our previous calls, it was like, how do you go about educating the customer? So when you kind of first started running the dispensary, right, were you kind of the genesis of all the information, or did you kind of bring in experts to be able to educate yourself so then you can educate your customers? Or were you the one bringing in people and then training them so then they could then educate the customers?
Kind of a little bit of both. My husband, he's been doing this for so long, and he is like the mecca of all knowledge. He wants to know everything. I mean, you say, what does this strain, derive from? And he'll just pull it out and say this, he's always been extremely keen on just having all the knowledge so he can properly work, through the plants, through the concentrates, making sure you have good genetics. I mean, we do get employees that come in having some knowledge, whether it be, they trimmed for a little bit or, longtime smoker. They know what works good for them and what they've seen. So we kind of have a little bit of both, but I have found that there's still, just in Montana alone, there's still a lot of knowledge that can be brought to a lot of people. So we definitely have that good resource to be able to give them all the knowledge, as well as, just showing them the processes, because we're vertically integrated. We can just do everything ourselves. So it's all about the education.
Right. So walk me through that process. In most cases, you don't snap your fingers and then, the vertical integration just pops out of thin air. You have to start from somewhere. So how did you get started? What was that progression like to where you are now?
Okay, so let's see. To start way back when, so I'm from Montana. Me and my husband are both from Montana originally. When medical marijuana came about, it lasted maybe a year or two, and then the legislators just kind of kiboshed it out. So we ended up moving to California. We lived way up north, and got to be around there. It was really nice, but in our hearts, Montana is our home 100%. So when we were available to come back to Montana, because everyone revoted it back in yet again, over 50%, the people wanted it. So essentially moved back, lived in my parents' basement. He sold vacuums. We were the first ones within the county, Cascade County, just because the city itself had no ordinance. They just didn't want it. Cascade County was one of the very few that had ordinances, allowed you to do it, had to be in heavy industrial. So we went out, found a property, was able to acquire it through owner financing, made a little PVC high tunnel greenhouse, lived right next to it until, we could just each month keep moving forward a little bit. I mean, we had water tanks because we had to have a cistern out here, no wells. So we brought 200-gallon water tanks, about 5 of them, and we would hand draw it out with a milk jug container into good old Home Depot 5-gallon buckets and bring it into the greenhouse and water it. And it was just, a labor of love because, as we move forward and get a little bit more, we were able to, look back as well and, see what had happened. I mean, during the time of trying to find the property to grow at, my cousin allowed me to get a rent-to-own little shed put out on her property. And in lieu of being able to do that, I said, you let me start my little crop here and keep moving forward and gain patience. You can have the shed afterwards. And so it was just, every little bit was a stepping stool to just get to where we are now. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it was all worth it.
I mean, I guess my next question is, why put yourself through that? Why, do as much work as, you needed to do? Presumably you didn't need to put yourself in this position to, kind of DIY things. I think a lot of people underestimate the effort of trial and error, if you will, right? It's really easy to say, hey, yeah, I did this thing, I learned it, and then I kind of moved on, but they don't realize how frustrating it is during the time and actually kind of putting one step in front of the other. So like, what was the thing that made you want to continue doing this?
Well, just growing the plant in general is a huge love. Understanding, its capabilities now it's, we're understanding a lot more than we ever did before. What's the saying is, you never, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. You do work hard and you can still love it, but it's the reward that you get for knowing you did this yourself. You're in control of it. You're helping out tons of people that, had medical marijuana at the beginning and then all of a sudden were just stripped of it. It was, being able to be one of the very few in Montana that, could succeed and keep moving forward and help people. I mean, it's always an up and down with any business owner, I can't imagine, but seeing the quality of life it brings to people is definitely what it's about for sure.
Right. So what are your biggest challenges right now?
Well, geez, let's see. Biggest challenges more or less would be just the ever-changing, regulations within the state and legislation. The good thing is we've always had an extremely well-working communication with the state. They've always been very knowledgeable. They're always here to help and answer questions anytime, just to help us understand what do you really mean? Because we want to be compliant and make sure that we're doing everything to make it, there's always the ones that kind of put the bad face on because I don't know what they're trying to do, but you always just want to make sure that since it already came about, way back when it was shunned upon. It was a scary thing. You want to just give it a new light and give it that new opportunity to really show people this is a good industry. It helps people. This is a good thing to just keep moving forward and keep growing properly. And that gains in respect to both the state and as well as the dispensaries, the growers, we all kind of work together so we can make it better.
Right. So would you recommend, to the other dispensary owners, joining the committee, joining the council, whatever kind of official electives that they need to kind of keep a close eye, maybe not a close eye on, but at least kind of have a way of communication so you're not guessing. And whenever they put whatever it is into law or legislation or whatever it is, wherever they are, right? They're at least not getting blindsided, be like, oh, I didn't know that this even was going to come about in the first place.
Yeah. Well, very much. I think it's very important to, keep a community within this industry. So we all are working for the best it could possibly be. I think that's the most important. So there are a lot of great organizations out there that are helping with that, and they're really kicking butt. And I think it's important that they keep doing what they're doing, because we know a lot, the state knows, but it's nice to be able to have the transparency between both parties and work together, because this is for the people more than anything.
Right. What would you say your relationship is like with the other local businesses around you? Because, obviously there's a whole cannabis stigma, there's the whole, getting a retail space, but it's cannabis, so it has to be green space, all these kind of hoops that you have to jump through. You mentioned community, right? So like, would you say that in general, you do have a good relationship with kind of like the other small business community around you? Like, how does that look?
Well, I guess it really just depends. I've always been one of those people that just stays on my own island. I honestly work constantly, so it's hard for me to be able to get out and do meetings. But there's this gentleman, Jeff, he has an amazing POS system. One Step Software in Montana, and he's local. He does an amazing job to keep everyone informed, work together, just because, all these people that have his POS, he can help stay informed and help each other. So it's always a working communication, but I've always just kind of stayed on my own island because I work so stinking much that I hate to, do anything. But it's always nice to relay information to people that are still very much within the community and see a lot of more people than I get the chance to.
For sure. So to kind of switch channels a little bit, so you have a POS guy. Now on the marketing side, right? Obviously, when a lot of people talk about their business, they say they have great product, great look and feel of their store, so on and so on. But what would you say is kind of like your general marketing mix to kind of get people in, hey, I exist?
Yeah, so Montana does have pretty strict regulations as far as marketing goes.
Definitely.
Websites definitely have to have the button that says, you're 21 of age. They just don't want it just splattered out there. We're pretty much by word of mouth. Social media, so we can do electronic advertising, so Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. We've always been a part of the Montana State Fair in Great Falls, so we always set up just an informational booth because there's a ton of people that come from all over since we are centrally located within Montana. This is a good fair that kind of helps people understand if they had any questions and didn't necessarily want to venture into a dispensary by any means. This is wide open right in the fair and they can come ask questions. So that's kind of about where our regulations go as far as being able to get our word out there and gaining good relationships with everyone that comes in, making them feel good.
Right. Word of mouth, incredibly powerful, right? You tell one person, they tell two people tell four people tell 8 people. And that's kind of like, a very good positive feedback loop of how you get people coming back and new people coming into your store. So on that front, right? Like, do you do anything specific to try and get that word of mouth out? Or do you just try and provide the best service and best product possible so then people end up coming back?
I think that's honestly, I think in the end, that is probably the biggest thing for us. Is just quality product, knowledgeable staff. We're there to help who's coming in instead of just selling them a product just to go to sleep, or we really take the time to ask, what are you trying to get with this? Do you need sleep? Do you have chronic pain? Do you need energy? And then we can educate them and kind of put them down the path that is best suited for what we think that they're trying to get at, essentially. So I think customer service and, quality, as well as being a very good price within Montana. We're probably one of the lowest overall in prices, just because we can produce it ourselves, so that overhead isn't there as much. And we can give it to people that more or less insurance can't take out for medical reasons. And a lot of people I know need that sometimes. So able to give everyone good product, low prices, and great service.
Right. So yeah, look, there's no special secret sauce, right? It's just care about your customers and then they'll see it and then they'll end up coming back. As long as obviously the price is, you can't be charging $1 million for a gram or anything like that. Treating your customers well is probably one of the main things. And I think that's one of the biggest problems on, what I see on the marketing side, right? Everyone's like, yeah, what's the secret sauce? How do you go about in doing these marketing things? I'm like, well, care for your customers. How do you care for your customers? Like actually care for them? It is pretty simple, but it's not this sexy thing, right? You have to speak to an individual. Hey, John, how's your day going? How can I help you? Right. And just do that 1,000,000 times. And then you will compound that effect over and over again.
Yeah. Well, and then you gain a great relationship with them too. And then they feel comfortable and it's just, things arise and you're able to say, I know you didn't like this product. This one you probably will like, just those type of things really makes it a lot easier for them as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, obviously, anecdotally, it's really nice. You see, I guess if John is the customer, we'll use John as the example for this episode, I guess. So, John keeps on coming back. That's great. But obviously, there's just general metrics as well, right? Total sales, total customers, total revenue. Just your standard business numbers, right? But there is like a lot of data to take into consideration. So what are kind of like the main data points that you just kind of keep an eye on just to make sure that things are at least trending in the right direction?
Okay, so like I had talked about, Jeff, local, he has the one-step software solutions, the POS, best POS that I've dealt with so far, has amazing tracking within all of it. So instead of having to go through metric, and do these very tedious steps within them because it's pretty bland, got a lot going on. He's made it so user friendly for newcomers, for me. I mean, I've gone through a ton of POSs and they all have data to some extent. It's just how clear and easy it is to read. And, he's done a great job. He's made life 1,000 times better just through that. And the nice thing about it is he is local. So we're still staying within that Montana community and helping out local people keep growing this industry into what it is. Great customer service. And I think we're doing very well just in the sense of we can see how many people are coming in. We can look to see, a customer comes in and is looking, what was that last product I had? You can track it for them. So, they lose their receipts. That goes along with customer service. You're still taking care of them. You're helping them. So that's probably the best part about it is just finding that good system that makes life a heck of a lot easier as far as data.
Right. So, you went through the trenches trying to, you DIY'd a lot of things, let's say, right? And that, clearly came from just previous experience to be able to DIY, right? You can't really DIY things if you don't know how to do very much. You can go pop up a YouTube channel, kind of take a look at it, and then you're good to go, right? What about like on more so the tech side, the marketing side, right? Like the POS you mentioned, right? You went through a bunch of them. So was that kind of like a trial and error piece as well? Like how did you kind of go about figuring out what worked out best from the tech side, from the marketing side, from more so like the digital side?
Yeah, so I guess it was always do it yourself. I never got POSs. I always hand did everything. A sale would go straight into metric through me. It was definitely a learning curve. Then you get to the point where it's like, wow, this is going to take me all day to water the greenhouses. I need something more efficient, So it's like getting a watering system. It's finding things that work good with you. And it was trial and error, what's bringing people in? What are people interested in as far as in the cannabis industry? We kind of built this whole store up to educate people in the little building that we had gotten before we had built our big facility. We had a little room that was supposed to be the secretary or the waiting room. And so there was a nice window. They would put all their information underneath like a little crack. We'd check them in, make it easy. Well, it got to the point where we started just growing out of the space we had. So we turned it into a mom room. And so the door would lock. People could go into the store, but see that viewing window and ask questions, see the plant in progress, see clones being made. And that just that was another, didn't really expect that to happen, but then it flourished into this great idea on, why don't we just teach people more stuff? We got a lot of great feedback on, I feel comfortable coming into the store, Emma, because I know what I'm getting. I can see it being grown. You're telling me the process. It's not just something in a package that I just read, how much THC is on it and the name, you're really telling me what it took to create that package. And I think that's a part of the beauty of doing it yourself, is because you don't think about this stuff until it just happens on accident, and then it turns into a beautiful thing. So that's, yeah. It's never, what's the word? It's never planned for, but always the best ones aren't,
Right. I think, kind of building a business, going through entrepreneurship, when you're first starting, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? Because your skills are at the lowest. So you don't have the confidence, you don't have the skills to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? Very much, you might be walking on a tightrope, but then the tightrope might turn into a plank. That plank might turn into a bridge. The bridge might turn onto like a nice solid floor, right?
Yep.
How long... I don't know if you feel like you're walking on a solid floor right now, because I'm sure the days can be, like a roller coaster up and down. But like, how long would you say kind of took you to just kind of get, I don't know if comfortable is the word, or maybe just a little bit more stable, where you're like, I can take a second, I can breathe, I have a business here. There's relative predictability within the day-to-day, or within the month-to-month or the year-to-year. The day-to-day might be ups and downs. You never know what might happen. But how long along this journey would you say you kind of reached that level of stability?
I would probably say COVID shut a lot of stuff down. It was a lot of time to be able to kind of regroup, refocus on making things tighter, easier, more efficient. I would say around right before, I'd say a couple years before rec hit, just because we had a good customer base. I felt solid in being able to talk to them properly, started to get to know them. You just get in the rhythm of how things start working. So I've been pretty solid here for a while now, but it definitely, at the beginning, you're jumping into something going, what are we doing? But we can do this. But, each year, I think it becomes more confident as far as seeing progress every single year. We started with a blank we started with a shed, and then it moved to a property, and then it moved to a PVC hoop house. And then before you know it, we can finally get the engineered farm tech, good solid greenhouse. And then, just every year seeing that expansion just gives you more confidence that you are doing the right thing and you're headed in the right direction.
For sure. So, again, kind of like with all businesses, you do get more and more confident as you do things, as you kind of like, conquer the little boss battles, right? It's like, okay, I defeated that monster. Yeah. I leveled up a little bit. Oh, there's another monster. Okay, I defeat that monster. You kind of level up and you get more experience points, right? But on the side of like learning, right? Because there's always opportunities to learn. There's always more things to figure out. Do you have like favorite resources that you learn from? Like, do you have YouTube channels, books, mentors? Where is it that you kind of get information that, to kind of fill in those gaps and, kind of get that experience to take on the next monster?
I would say my best resource is my husband, because he's been doing it for so long. He's so knowledgeable. He's so into it, so much from just the holistic level and the plant itself. The room just comes alive when he's in there. They're real plants, they can feel it. They know that he loves, and that's the best part of it. Other than that, just Googling little information, finding, other growers that have been doing it for a while. Nug Smasher, we have the Nug Smasher IQ, and they have great videos on showing you proper temperatures, this and that. And just, even talking to some of the older customers that, way back when used to make bubble hash, and hearing little tricks of the trade. So it's kind of just a big circle of a little bit of everything mixed in, honestly.
Right. So there's another piece where, again, the biggest, let's say, boss is kind of like the taxation, the growing camp competition, saturation of the market, price compression, so on and so forth. And I think the seasoned entrepreneur, the seasoned business owner kind of knows when it's time to strike and things are hot and opportunities are around. And when things might not be so hot, you might need to take your time, be a little bit more patient, be a little bit more conservative and stuff like that. Especially if you're looking to be successful in the long run, right? You can't just be go, 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 and year after year, you keep on pushing. Well, you can, and depending on how many resources you have and how big your team is and stuff like that. But in general, how are you kind of dealing with the ever-changing kind of, regulations, how you're dealing with taxation, again, competition, market saturation, what is your kind of strategy to kind of weather the storm?
I think right now, the most important thing that I'm focused on is expanding the grow, expanding brand names. I went out a long time ago just in lieu of, well, you never know down the road. And I bought up Montana edibles, Montana sativa, Montana indica, Montana hybrid, just in lieu of, you really never know what is going to bring you down the road. But if you get it now, you're hedging your bet on being able to expand further because you already had that previous footprint put in. So, I more or less, a lot of stuff is out of my control. So I try not to focus on it as much. I'm really focused on just trying to just gain more I have a couple new stores that are going to be coming in, so that'll be 3 total. We're going to be nice and local, be able to, just since we're out in the county so far, the buses don't come out here for people. And, we've had people in 90 plus degree weather in the heat walking all the way to us because they have no other transportation. So trying to just make it also easy for people to get to us as needed. But expansion, branding, and just being ready for the unknown, I guess you could say, and not delve or worry too much about the things that are more or less out of my control.
For sure. But before we continue, if you're listening to this podcast, then you're probably interested in learning how to better market your own dispensary. I've got the perfect thing for you. Every Monday, I release a completely free newsletter where I send out advanced marketing and SEO strategies sent directly to your inbox. These strategies are a little bit too advanced, so I don't normally post it on social media because it can come across as a bit boring, but these strategies will significantly push your dispensary forward in ways that you couldn't even imagine. If this is something that you're interested in, please check out the links in the description below. You can sign up for the newsletter. It's completely free. It's designed to be read and consumed in 4 minutes or less, and you can unsubscribe at any time. So if you hate it, and if you hate me, you can go ahead and leave. I'll see you there. Go check out the links in the description below. So not everyone probably is able to start a business with your husband, right? But you do talk about his wealth of knowledge, how he is an essential piece, to the company itself, right? Other people who are not as lucky might need to have, employees and stuff like that can kind of fill in the gaps. Presumably, you also have a team around you yourself to help you manage day-to-day operations and obviously manage, and help with the growth of the company. What was that process like, kind of starting out and then having to build a team, having to build trust, being able to rely on other people, not having to micromanage? What does that process look like for you?
Yeah, it definitely was a process because we have always just been so used to doing it ourselves. You know what needs to get done each day. Get to it. This is the amount of time. But you do get to that point where you need a little extra help. If you're trying to grow into, just the plants in general, just the amount of greenhouses we have and the expansion on that level, there's only so much one person can do with 5 greenhouses in a day if you're hand watering. So you get to that point where you do have to open up those doors of trust and understand that this is a growing industry and there are very eager young or older people that want to be a part of it, and they're willing to learn and give knowledge that they may have. So it's always an up and down. That's just the way life goes. But the team that we have built are absolutely amazing. We love them to death. Everyone that's worked for us, we've appreciated everything they've ever done for us. And whether they could stay or didn't want to stay or circumstances worked out, it was always, a good farewell. And we're always looking to just keep expanding and keep educating people too, and they're also educating us. So it's a journey and it's fun. Just like growing the business, you create a little family within that business that you get to be around and enjoy that time with.
Right. So how do you go about kind of like training your employees, building out that kind of camaraderie between people? I know in some of the previous interviews that I've had, a little bit in this space, the novelty of cannabis itself has worn off a little bit. It's no longer, hey, I gotta be a bud tender, kind of sell weed and, do all these fun things. It's now, oh, it's a job where I'm still, selling to front-facing people, and people are going to be cranky, and I'm not going to have the best customers, but I still need to smile. I still need to say hello and greet people at the door, even when, my nose is stuffy and I'm sick. So how do you kind of go about training your employees more so for the long run, once that kind of honeymoon phase of working in the cannabis industry is, kind of worn off a little bit?
Yeah. Well, depending on what position they're working in, we like to be very hands-on. I'm a big believer in, instead of reading a textbook, I pull things in a lot better after I've done it. You can tell me a million times how to do it, but until I actually do it right there, and then also having, someone that's right next to you that can say, hey, no, this is a little bit easier, and then also giving them the opportunity to work in this said position for a little bit. If, since we're vertically integrated, there's a lot of stuff going on everywhere. It's not just a storefront in itself. There's growing, there's cloning, concentrates, packaging. So I do find that sometimes someone asks, hey, can I move to this position, please? I'd like to give that a try. It gains more knowledge for them, and also lets them expand. Maybe they didn't want to trim as much as they did, but now they want to do concentrates, and they end up just being amazing at it. So giving them that opportunity to grow with us as well is pretty fun. And then you get a very stable workforce. And, like I said, if you love what you're doing, you're going to keep doing it. So that's kind of what we're based upon.
For sure. So where do you see the future of the cannabis industry heading?
Well, I honestly foresee at some point the government, rescheduling it. So that's why I've focused a lot on branding and kind of getting our footprint a little bigger, so we're able to, send a Montana strain over to a different state that they can try, just because it's pretty cool to see, how many people are just trying to have that niche, just you find a great strain. We're working with a company, Start Right Genetics, right now, and he is pretty excited about launching there's pre-orders that are going to be taking place in about a month. And then he's been working on strains for quite some time that we've been able to kind of watch him produce. We've produced a couple of them. So, being able to be a part of something like that and then help him move forward as well. Everyone has a place within this industry. It's just, what is your best place? And so I definitely foreseeing that ability to be able to bring a Montana strain into, California, and they've never seen it. And just the wow factor is exciting as it is.
Are you worried that if the market kind of opens up like that, there is, the California could just go on the other side and just be like, well, we have so many people, so many strains, they've been doing this for a little while. Maybe it's the Colorados, and then soon to be probably the New Yorks, right? Once they kind of figure out whatever they got going on over there. Are you ready for the challenge? Is this just kind of the next step in the business that's something that you're excited for? Or is this something that you're a little bit weary about and you're not too sure what the future is going to hold?
Well, with everything new, it's always weary because you just never know which way it's going to go. I honestly think that the best thing to do is just prepare yourself, whether it actually does happen or it doesn't. Be in that forefront, be able to prepare yourself and know that you can still, jump these hurdles. I think if you position yourself properly, then you'll keep succeeding. And if you love this plant and keep moving forward, you're going to succeed. And if not, then I hope you had a fun ride while you had it. But right. You never know, honestly, with the growing industry. You think that maybe they're going to do it this year and then it ends up never happening. It's just the unforeseen, but being ready for it.
Right. Always being ready for that monster, stacking up as much experience points that you have, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So we do have this really cool segment on our show where, we ask the previous guest what question they have for the next guest. Then you can also do the same for the next guest that we bring on. And then this question is from Karen Kikalik from Indigro. I think they're based out in Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. I should remember this. This was only 2 weeks ago, huh? Anyways, but her question was, how do you examine your products and make sure that it's a quality product that you're selling? And when they're super quality products, what are you doing to differentiate products from others with less quality?
Okay. It's over the years figuring out, just personally, there are some strains that work really good. There's some products that work really good. And then I'll come to find out that it just won't necessarily work good for someone else, even though, it was technically a higher quality or lower quality. So I strive on and very much believe in producing just the best quality of the product in itself, just because a strain has a better smell to an individual may not be the same. We have a strain called Bangarang, and it is a yes or no period. And it to someone, they want that smell, to others they don't. But if it helps that one person that really wants it, I honestly don't think it should be a higher price because this other one didn't necessarily see the same qualities. I'd like to just make all the products equally as best they could and then help those patients and those customers. Hey, this is what we have. You can check it out. This is, on that's where those bud tenders come into play. In my opinion, this has helped me with these same things you're looking to fix. I would rather not, penalize, I guess you could say, someone that this strain may look way more crystally and have higher numbers, but yet this one over here that's doesn't look as pretty. I don't really think that I should penalize them just because maybe that higher quality worked better than this lower, or vice versa. I think it should be just an even playing field, and then customers can go in figuring out what really does work without worrying about their pocketbook on top of it.
Right. I think that's a wonderful way, to take a look at product quality. Product quality doesn't mean you're just going to charge a lot more money for it, right? How often would you say you kind of, I guess, either hit a home run or strike out with regards to how you feel about a specific product to how customers feel about a product? Is it typically, if you think it's good, it'll turn out well, or, is it 50-50? What is the range of your prediction of how well you think a product is going to be?
We have a very good feedback with our product. We give great sales, but the product alone, that's been like the number one thing we've always strived on, and we've always gotten great compliments back. I tell everybody, I can give you this description of what apparently it does for you, but I can also tell you what it did for me. This might help you and it might not. It's a learning curve with everyone, especially being such a new industry as well here in Montana. A lot of people, they're just scared to ask questions, so I normally, when we do get someone in here, just also, trial and error, you put a new strain out. I love the smell of that one, but my husband loves the berries and I love the skunk and stinky stink. So everyone just has their, own personalities, I guess you could say, on what they prefer as far as, consumption. But getting to know a strain also just by customer feedback is important. And then we know, do we really want to keep this around, or maybe we should, try something else. That's always been extremely helpful. So I always tell people, please come back and tell me what you think of it. Did it help you? Is there something off about it? Or, and that's been a big help in being able to, grow the brand itself, knowing what people like and don't like.
For sure. And what question do you have for the next guest owner that I interview?
Okay, so let's see. There are a couple good strains out there. What would be your favorite strain and why?
Perfect. All right. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. And lastly, please plug all of your stuff. Where can people find your company if they want to get in touch?
Yep. So we have an email, mtdispensary@gmail.com. Facebook, we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And we also have a website. It is montanadispensary.net.
Perfect. Well, Emma, thank you very much for sharing your story. There's not a lot of people that I would say have started from the beginning quite like yourself, all the way from the DIY stuff to now you're building up a team, now you're scaling up to stores. So I know you have on a bunch of hats, putting out all the different fires that you have going on, but I think your attitude about the product itself, the way you sell the product to the customers, and then just your attitude about just just putting one step in front of the other, right? It's very much a labor of love from what I can tell, just kind of based on this interview. And I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your day for hopping on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always fun to talk.
No worries. No worries. Well, for everyone else who's listening, I'm your host, Brandon Kwan, founder of Cannabis Marketing, and the host of the Dispensary Marketing Podcast. And I will talk to you later.